all my favorite bands growing up were, I mean, I loved Fugazi, I loved Shudder to Think,
Sure.
I loved Dillinger Escape Plan, Converge. So I was always drawn to the more avant-garde stuff. And then it was as I got older, I started to enjoy the art of songwriting. Like I realized the power. Because when you're young, you think it's easy to write a 3-minute song, and it's hard to write a 7-minute song. But actually, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
See, to find a melody and a lyric that's concise and to the point, that speaks to people, it's magic.
Great to see you, Simon.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's such an exciting time for you. New record, documentary that came out not long ago.
Yeah, that was our pandemic documentary. We had to do something, right?
It was great. So great. There's so many things I learned about Scotland that I didn't know.
What kind of anything you want to share?
Well, first of all, I mean, growing up in Scotland, there's so much to get into, but not a ton of music coming out of there, right? I mean, Travis. Yeah. I guess the Young Brothers, the AC/DC, are Scottish, but I didn't know that. I always thought they were Australian.
Yeah, they were born in Scotland. We claim them as our own. Right. Same as David Byrne. He was born in Scotland.
David Byrne?
Yeah, so we claim him as a Scot.
Okay.
I guess Eurythmics, probably one of the biggest kind of band. The sensational Alex Harvey band, and then Biffy Clyro.
Biffy Clyro.
We're the only ones that count. Forgive me, Scotland. Let me back in.
Was there a big scene there musically growing up, though?
Yeah, not in our small towns. We grew up kind of outside major cities, so we very much made our own kind of scene. You know, we would just play gigs in our local bars and things, get shouted at for not playing Motorhead or Oasis. Right. But Glasgow's always had a vibrant kind of underground scene. You know, there's bands like the Blue Nile in the 80s that kind of... They actually invented that kind of drum machine and really emotive kind of plaintive songs that I guess the 1975 has since kind of named as an influence. And then there's bands like Mogwai and things. We've got a good post-rock scene. Yeah. But yeah, it's very arty, Glasgow.
Yeah. Travis,
yep, they're a great band. Yeah, they're
great band.
Fran Healy's a great songwriter,
great writer,
and everything. And,
definitely.
But yeah, I think because people in Scotland... the weather is terrible. We spend a lot of time indoors. So we just listen to music and just create stuff ourselves. And I think there has to be something said about the environment you grow up in and how that impacts, you know, your creativity or your socializing.
Definitely.
And we're probably slightly more insular because of that, but we're very expressive.
And there's so much to get into. I loved the last record that you did. You recorded in a barn, and there was like cows, and you were sampling cows. But before then, take me back to the beginning. You actually started the band in like your parents' garage, and I think you had a strict cutoff of like 801 or something.
Yes, exactly that. Right. Yeah, poor Ben and James's mum and dad. Ben and James are twins.
Twins, yeah.
I've known them since we were 7 years old. So as teenagers do, we just started playing music together. Yeah. Ben and James's dad had a few guitars, so I would just pick them up. We didn't know what we were doing.
Never had many like lofty ambitions to be in a huge band when you were growing up.
Well, because we didn't know any musicians, never mind professional musicians, it wasn't an option. So in a way, I think that kind of naivety actually helped us take time to become a great band, hopefully, and write good songs, because we weren't in a rush. We didn't, as I say, we had no kind of influence or no elder kind of characters that showed us how to do things. So we very much learnt by doing ourselves, and that includes jumping in a van ourselves and going and playing shows. But yeah, we played in Ben and James's house. Thank you, Maggie and Davey, for all those years of torture. And and if we played after 8 o'clock, the neighbours would come. That maybe tells you how good we were at that stage. And they were like 8:01. It's like, no, you don't.
Did that happen at 8:05? They'd come knocking or something?
All the time. And again, it was quite unusual to have a rock band in our part of the world. So it was definitely discussed and sneered upon.
Because you've always said that you just wanted to be a weird rock band that pissed people off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all my favorite bands growing up were, I mean, I loved Fugazi, I loved Shudder to Think, I loved Dillinger Escape Plan, Converge. So I was always drawn to the more avant-garde stuff. And then it was as I got older, I started to enjoy the art of songwriting. Like I realized the power. Because when you're young, you think it's easy to write a 3-minute song, and it's hard to write a 7-minute song. But actually, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
See, to find a melody and a lyric that's concise and to the point, that speaks to people, it's magic. So yeah, I think again, ignorance was bliss. there was a fear of failure probably when we started. You know, it's easy to say we don't want to be popular, so therefore when you're not popular, you're succeeding.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
So I think a bit of it was defense mechanism, because once people started to enjoy our band, we certainly enjoyed it too.
Definitely. The name is interesting. There's a rumor that early on, like, you almost didn't get a record deal because the label said, we would sign you, but if you keep the name, we're not going to sign you. Is that the truth? Was that I don't know. Was that Warner's or no?
No, that was a label called Food Records, who had Blur, the band Blur at that point, and a few other kind of British indie bands. And yeah, that's what he said. He sat us down, the head of the record company, and said, we will sign your band, but you need to change your name. And us being 19 years old and ignorant, I guess, we said, no, we're not changing our name.
Even for a record deal.
Even for a record deal. And honestly, for a year or so after, we wondered, have we've maybe made a huge mistake? You know, our arrogance has outstripped our talent, you know.
Because also, I assume it's not that easy to get a record deal in like a small town in Scotland.
No, I mean, and in fact, we stay up in Scotland still, so we made people from London, the industry, come to us. That was, again, maybe naivety, but I'm glad all these things we put in place early stood us in good stead later, because people wouldn't ask us to compromise in ways that they knew we wouldn't. You know, like we're always, when it comes to the music and the art, it's like that remains untouched. You know, that's like, you know, we're happy to do this, that, and everything, but the art and the band name, for one of it, is what it is. And that's
the name's actually an acronym, right?
Yeah, big imagination for feeling young, because life yearns real optimism.
I mean, I can't even remember that. I have to like write it down. I know. It's so
to be fair, that definitely came second, Scott.
It came second. Okay.
We've come up with a good handful of stories over the years of what the band name means, because because it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Well, how did it come about? That were you just sitting around like Biffy Clyro? Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
I was in German class with my friend who plays in another band when we were 13, and we were just making up stupid band names as we did. We'd make up these fake festival flyers and things with all these made up bands. And for some reason, there's a singer in the UK called Cliff Richard, and he's at the #1 single every decade for the last 6 decades. I don't even know how that's possible. He's 55. I don't know how that's possible.
Not big here, but huge over there.
No, huge, and you know, like a bit of a cultural icon. You know, even now when he's probably in his 80s now. But so we just were messing around thinking about his merchandise, and it was going to be Cliffy Biro, and then we made Biffy Clyro, and for some reason, that was the name that I was attracted to at 13, 14. And I made that decision then, and the boys were happy with it, and we stuck with it.
I had no idea the Cliff Richard association.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Cliffy Biro.
Yeah,
I know it's loose.
Crazy. You guys have had enormous success, obviously in Europe, and now starting, you know, here over the years too. But what were some of the darkest days that you can remember as a band? Because you went through a lot, obviously, like a lot of bands. But
yeah, I guess the first real. In fact, our first 3 records we released in Beggar's Banquet, and then my mum passed away while I was on tour, and that really changed my outlook on my music and my band and what I wanted us to do. And I realised, excuse my language, I didn't want to piss around anymore. I didn't want to piss around in the fringes and just be a band that no one liked. I wanted to pour my love for my mum, my memories for my mum, and my emotions of the moment into the songs. And that's where I feel like I became a songwriter on the 4th record puzzle. So it was I struggled up until a few years ago. I still struggled playing those songs, because it's hard when that was our first successful record in the UK and Europe. And it's really tough when you're channeling this, one of the saddest parts of your life, but yet it becomes this kind of positive and successful work period. So it was something I battled with for a while, but now I'm glad that the subjects I've sung about on our records are deeply important. So, you know, I've sung about my mum passing. We lost a few friends in a car accident when we were young as well, when we were on tour, which was really heartbreaking. And like a lot of people these days, I've battled with depression and things. And
anxiety, I would imagine.
Yeah, a lot of anxiety, which I still carry a little. But and Ben had to quit booze. Ben got sober about 10 years ago because his drinking was an issue. And poor James at the moment. James is going through a tough time at the moment. But I feel really lucky that we've been friends from when we were 7 years old, way before the band started. And I think without that connection, because these kind of things break bands up, you know, because you feel isolated, you can feel lost, but because we've known each other for so long, we just have this kind of web connection that never breaks, and touch wood, it doesn't break.
When you watch a doc, the connection you have with the twins is amazing. What's it like being in a band with like twins like that?
I mean, it's the only band I've been in, so I've been assured. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been assured that it's not healthy. But you know what, Ben and James, the beautiful thing is, I mean, we're all so close, but there's something about twins. They're two halves of the same person.
Yeah.
You know, they share the same thoughts and feelings without realizing. You know, I'll speak to them both separately, and they both very much come to the same kind of conclusions about things. We've done the whole can you read each other's mind in the tour bus, and they have done it probably 50% of the time, which is more than chance would allow. They can read each other's brain.
Amazing.
And obviously the main thing is drums and bass, that rhythm section.
Definitely.
Like the telepathy that they have between each other is so special and can't be faked. You know, they literally have the same blood coursing through their bodies.
There's a really charming moment in the doc where they're like, "Happy birthday to you," and they're pointing at each other. You're like, all right, well, it is both of your birthdays.
It's a very expensive time for me, I would tell you that.
Talk to me a little bit about playing these incredible festivals in Europe. Glastonbury, which you just played, which is definitely one of the best festivals in the world. Reading and Leeds. And obviously the festival circuit here is big, but not as big as it is in Europe. Yeah,
it's a big cultural thing, and I guess it has been in Europe for about 20 or 30 years. And you guys have some incredible festivals as well.
I mean, Coachella, Lollapalooza. But I feel like the circuit over there is even bigger in Europe.
Yeah, it is. People pick their weekend and they go away for 3 days. They'll go to Germany, they'll go to France,
hang out in the mud and Glastonbury. You know?
and you give yourself fully, because you see, if you want to stay clean at a festival like Glastonbury, it's not going to happen. So people just commit, and there's this kind of freedom to everyone being there together, and it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. It's like a city. Glastonbury especially is about 4 miles across or something, and it's like 9 miles round. I mean, some mathematician out there will tell me that's not possible, but it's a really large place. There's kids, there's old people. It's like it's every aspect and facet of life goes to festivals, and I guess the music in European festivals is probably a lot more eclectic. You know, you still have some metal festivals and things, but you very often will have rock bands playing next to pop artists, and so that's why you get the kind of mixed crowd, and it's been a big part of our career. You know, we played our first festival in 2001, and actually that was where we got noticed by a record company who wanted to sign us. So after we'd turned down that previous one, do you want us to change the name? We'll call ourselves anything. But no, actually our entire journey is a kind of inverted commas professional unit.
What's the strangest bill you ever played on at a festival? Because there's some weird bills sometimes.
We played one in France this is probably about 12 years ago, and there was a band called the Scatolites, which are one of the foremost reggae bands in the world. Then it went on to us, then we played, and then Tricky, the trip hop artist, played, and then Suicide played with Alan Vega. So that's still one of the most bonkers bills I've ever been a part of.
Every genre of music in one.
Every genre. And the people are open. You know, you go to a festival like that, you've got to be open to new music and being inspired by different things. So
definitely.
Yeah, it was a special time.
Well, talk to me about the new record. It's pretty exciting, right?
So our new album, Futique, and somehow my band is on our 10th record, which I can't believe. I remember saying that good bands break up after 3 albums. that used to be what I thought. This 10th record, it took a little bit of time post-pandemic. You know, after the documentary you're discussing, you know, we made that record straight after making another record. So I needed a little break from just creating songs on my guitar and the piano. So I went away for 2 years and made some heavy metal with a band called Empire State Bastard, which it was really liberating. I didn't play guitar. I didn't sing any melodies. It was just screaming. And ironically or bizarrely, doing that for 18 months inspired all these brand new Biffy songs. So I would come home every couple of weeks and I would just sit at the piano, and these kind of very melodic, very melodic. You know, I think the melody came first, and it must have been a reaction to doing those shows. But so basically, that break leads to the title of the record, which is Futique. It's a combination of the words future antique, and I just feel like sometimes in the last 5-10 years of my life, I have not been present enough. I've not savoured the moments with my friends and with my family. And I think we're all guilty of doing that, especially in this day and age,
Yeah.
because things happen so quick. You know,
Definitely.
we're all in the move. So this record is about trying to savor the moments now that in 10 years' time we'll look back and go, wasn't that a great time period? But I want to be aware of it when we're in it,
No question.
rather than only in rear view mirror. Because quite often it's the human condition, isn't it? It's 5 years later, you go, oh, that time, that was one of the greatest times of my life. And I want to try and be as present as possible, Scott.
And you were listening to a lot of like Metallica, a lot of riff heavy stuff at the time of writing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So initially it was, I revisited Cave In again, who are a big band for me, and Metallica are always there. And actually listened to a lot of Sabbath as well,
Sure.
you know, which I was actually, just as a sharp left turn, I was at the last Sabbath show there in Birmingham.
Oh, you were there too?
Yeah, it was so emotional. God bless you, Ozzy. But it was truly an amazing day of music, and in the most intense 2 hours of my life. It was Pantera into Tool, into Slayer, into Guns N' Roses, into Metallica, into Ozzy, into Sabbath. And I feel like I have seen the pinnacle of rock music. You know, I don't know if it'll ever get better than that for me.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing to watch that was to see like Metallica and Guns N' Roses. They were there as fans, as Sabbath fans.
Definitely.
And the way they talked on stage and the way they carried themselves was so different than what you're used to seeing when they're playing their 3-hour arena stadium shows. And I just loved seeing these icons, people whose pictures I've had on my wall since I was 12 years old, just be fans of Ozzy.
Definitely.
And it was just a beautiful thing. So sorry for that.
No,
aside,
I mean,
but
we just had Lizzie Hale on the show, and she played the show.
she was incredible.
And she had mentioned it was like rock and roll summer camp. And it's great to see, even like you said, like Metallica, they're just fans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And everyone's at the end of the day has their idols. And even people that are at a certain level have their idols. It's great to see that everyone was.
And see on the screen, in the big screen, you could see everyone watching. And Ozzy was on in Sabbath.
Definitely.
So you'd see Axl, you'd see Hetfield, you'd see Phil Anselmo.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just focusing on the music and on the band in front of them, you know. So it's a good lesson to learn that even your heroes have heroes, you know.
Definitely.
And I think that's a nice thing to be aware of.
But what a way to go out for Ozzy, right? Because it's incredible that he got to do that after all those. Because I don't think people actually thought he'd even get to perform. I think it was just sort of like he might be sitting there. If you saw him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think that he just sat there and he had that band that was put together of like
Maynard and things. Yeah,
but
I was so glad that he got to feel it. It would have been cruel if he'd left this earth without feeling that love.
Definitely.
You know, and you can tell that's what kept him going. And God bless him. And just God.
And I think
rest
the
in peace.
largest raise for charity in the history of music ever, or something, almost like $200 million.
Doesn't that say so much about him as well, to do that? You know, it's just really a really sound person that was full of heart, you know, regardless of what he did in music. It's like he just was a sound person, which is special.
Definitely. So this new record, we actually spoke about for a little bit, the last record, how you recorded it in a barn, which was incredible. You were sampling, as I mentioned, like cows, and it was pretty amazing just to see the process of how that record was done, because it's almost like nobody can come into our clubhouse for a couple of years. We don't want anyone infiltrating the vibe in the studio, because it was such a special thing that you had created between the members, and just, you know, the ethos of that whole thing that you. So
thanks so much.
What was the process of this record like compared to the barn experience?
There was way too many people around this time, Scott. It was enforced obviously because of the pandemic, but we really kind of blossomed in that, and it was a nice reconnection amongst us after having made, you know, probably 8 or 9 records since we last did a record in that manner. With this one, I wanted to get out of the UK. We've been lucky to record in LA a bunch of times, and it felt like we've made our LA records. So basically, we wanted to go to Berlin. The very last piece of activity we did before the pandemic was we did a session in Hansa Studios in Berlin. So that was, as soon as there was lockdown, we said, see, when we get back out and we make our next record, we're going to go to Hansa in Berlin. And it's an incredible studio. It's where Bowie made Heroes and things.
Sure.
Iggy Pop did The Idiot, where...
was it the Bowie Lou Reed era that was done?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And U2 did Acting Baby there and everything. And so, you know, I'm going to romanticize it, because when you walk in, it is a studio. But see, when you're in a room where you know all this incredible music has been made, it really aspires you to make something truly great, or at least aim for the stars. You know, I didn't. You know, when we talked about being a younger band and not wanting anyone to like us, you know, this is the exact opposite of that. That's like, let's try and make something close to it, Bowie. You know. and I don't think we came anywhere near, but you've got to aspire to these iconic moments and these iconic songs and these iconic people. So the only thing we didn't do the milk and cocaine diet. We did the bratwurst and beer diet. So we were carrying a few extra pounds than David Bowie was. But
Amazing.
But yeah, great city. I'm not sure. Have you ever been to Berlin, Scott?
No. Oh, I actually was there for like a layover once for like a couple hours, but I didn't get to spend much time
because you've
there.
traveled so much over the years.
But definitely
playing
not, there's certain cities, I mean, there's a lot in Berlin that I still want to explore because I feel like there's a lot of weird, interesting things there.
There is. It's like you scratch the surface. It's a really like. Not that I'm not presuming you're into sex clubs.
Never been.
But there's a really intense, like proper sex club
Yeah,
scene.
I hear
There's a
What's it called again?
There's the Kit Kat Club, or there's Berghain.
Berghain is like the famous one. They don't let you in unless you're dressed to the nines or something.
And
right?
it's open for 72 hours over the weekend.
Right.
I can't convince any of the other boys to go. I wonder why. They
I
maybe
think I'd be
don't.
scared to go in there. I don't know. It just feels like it's.
I know. Well, you can go on Sunday morning. So go in daylight.
A lot of people going to a sex club on Sunday morning. It feels like a weird time to go.
To be fair, Berghain, it does have a sex club in it
Okay.
for anyone interested.
Okay.
But it's a techno mecca.
Okay.
So people go there.
Maybe why I haven't been.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, me too. You know, it's like, but I want to experience it. It sounds like, but people just go and dance for 3 days, and people will come out on Monday and go straight to their work.
Amazing.
So Germany and Berlin's, it's got a beautiful balance of complete anarchy and complete order. You know, people take their work very seriously, but they know how to let their hair down. And I think,
Definitely.
you know, certainly the UK where I come from, we're all quite uptight. So we could learn quite a lot from the Germans.
Yeah, I just had Ian from The Cult on the show, and he mentioned that he was there and he kind of popped in this art show, and it was the greatest art show he's ever seen in his life. And he said the culture that's in Berlin is, if you just go to a random place, it's the greatest thing you'll ever see in your life.
Because they still have squats. They still have a lot of buildings that are kept purely for artists. You know, the local council or whatever allows these places for artists and people. It's just it's really encouraging. The rest of the world could learn a lot actually, because they really encourage their creativity. Also, they still have like a swathe of the Berlin Wall through the middle of the city, and I think they can teach us a lot about learning from our histories. Like you don't need to hide everything away.
Yeah.
You know, they face it every day, but it's not something that they don't dwell on it, but they're not trying to hide from it. You know, because that's a city that's been through more than most.
Definitely.
You know.
You're in America to promote this new record.
Yep.
Do you like the crowds here versus the crowds in Europe? Is there a difference for you?
Love it. I guess New York's different because you guys see everything. Every band comes through here. So you guys are hard to impress. But the last couple of times we played New York, we've had a great time. And it feels that we're finally making more and more friends. You know, we've not been able to spend as much time as we wanted to over here because things have been going well elsewhere. And you know how it goes, Scott. You got to make hay while the sun shines. But
we're incredibly excited and honored that you're playing our concert series tonight.
Yeah,
too.
I'm buzzing. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to get a few acoustic
exciting.
songs for you tonight. I wish I was able to have the full band with us tonight. In which case we would need to make space. But no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you going to play Biffy Clyro songs? You're playing the new record. It's good to know because I need like a cheat sheet of what's coming up tonight.
I'll play 2 new songs and then a classic, for want of a better word. A classic, if you know
off
it.
A puzzle, like
off Only Revolution. So I'll probably play a song called God and Satan tonight.
I mean, I'm getting messages of people that are flying in from out of state or I don't know. They're like, I'm coming from out of state. I'm like, amazing, because we literally just announced this like a couple days ago.
Yeah,
thanks to your label, Warner Brothers, and we all made it happen very quickly.
It's funny. A lot of people online were going, is this happening? Like, because it's just been announced today or whatever, you know. So,
well, we're doing this really cool thing. There's, we were just talking to your label, and like, there's this whole play of like underplays now that's really happening now. Sombra's doing one, and we did one last time with the band Sublime, and these incredible artists that are playing for smaller crowds because it's like this buzz and one-on-one with the art. I mean, you played a million festivals, so for you to play an intimate show is not very common.
No, it's special. Sometimes those nights are the ones that you never forget.
The best nights. Last night was electric for us. I'm looking
forward
to tonight.
Was it Sublime last night?
Last night, and we're
How
still
are you
buzzing.
Feeling today?
I mean, it's crazy. It's like we're buzzing from it. But
brilliant.
And we're excited for tonight. I don't know if you know the Nova Twins, but they're amazing. They just played Warped Tour.
Yeah, we just played some shows with them.
Oh, you did? So they're playing tonight too.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great night. Well, you've traveled everywhere, and we do these top 5 things at the end of the show that are really fun. And I know you kind of love to travel. In the doc, you also mentioned that you'd love to get out of Scotland just because it's part of how you write records and just to get inspiration.
Absolutely.
So tell me your top 5 cities to travel in the world aside from Scotland. Starting with number 5.
Number 5 will be London.
Okay.
For 20 years, I hated London.
Yeah.
It was just a necessary evil. And probably in the last 5 years, I've really started to enjoy it. I see I see the appeal of it. I see how much life is there. There's so many different neighborhoods and communities. And again, like any great city like New York or Manhattan or anything, everything lives there. You can access anything at any time or day. And because I come from a small town, I resisted that for years. Again, I guess we were a bit obnoxious when we were growing up. That seems to be how my life's gone. I've been obnoxious for 20 years. But now I really love it. I've got lots of friends there. So, and some of the greenery, like Hampstead Heath, myself and my wife stayed down there for 3 or 4 months last year. And
you did play there a lot early on as a band. You used to drive there and just play there.
We'd always drive in. And in fact, some of the venues we'd play back in the day were really, really druggy venues. You know, it would be like, don't leave the venue or you will not get back to the venue.
Yeah.
So it's changed a lot, like everywhere has.
Sure.
So they're right, London. Let me think, where did I go next?
That's number 1 for you or number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5, okay.
Number 4, I'm going to go Los Angeles.
Okay.
I grew up in a part of the world where the weather is not great. So see when I'm on that West Coast and I see that sunshine through the window every morning, it's a beautiful thing.
That's inspiration for you.
Yeah, and we've made 3 or 4 records in LA. And I've got really fond memories of being there and spending great time with our producers. And I really like the lifestyle out there. Because actually, I'm probably going to make enemies, but I'm probably not going to put Manhattan on because my energy, I don't know if I've quite got the energy level to match Manhattan yet. And I'm always dipping in and out. So what I need to do is come here and spend some time and let it bleed into me. You know what I mean? Because
you got a tour guide if you need one. Just
I really appreciate you, Scott.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sure.
I'll probably take you up on that one day.
All right, so Manhattan's not on the list.
No, I'm sorry, and forgive me, my beloved New Yorkers. I know I love you. I do love you. Number 3, I'll put Cape Town.
Sure.
We played a couple of festivals down there. Now, South Africa's it's a very conflicted place. Like there's unbelievable poverty right next to the biggest mansion you've ever seen, and I'm talking like 3 feet difference. I'm talking about one side of the wall. The fact that city operates at all is incredible. But it was really nice to be down there and to meet the people. We played a couple of festivals. The kids that came to the show were so excitable. They were so into the music. It was one of our best shows of that year. That was probably 2014 or 15. And just, it's such a beautiful place, Cape Town. It's just gorgeous, the beach and everything. It's stunning. But you're very aware of that kind of imbalance. And I think it's good to be aware of that. I like being in a city where you can kind of see what's there. Like where you're kind of confronted with what the city is. And in some places, the first hotel we stayed in, they were like, "Don't go anywhere. You'll get attacked or kidnapped or something," and
may not be the place that I go right away.
Well, I know. Maybe not. I can't believe. Why is Manhattan not in my top 5 again? Number 2 is Rikers Island. Number 2, I'm going to say
not Rikers Island.
No, I wouldn't say. No, I was just saying if I'm going down that path. I would say Tokyo.
I love Tokyo. My favorite city in the whole world. That would be number 1 for me.
Well, I'm saving a Scottish city for number 1, just so that when I go home, I get embraced. As you know, then Tokyo, there is nowhere like it on earth. It is. It's like being in a computer game.
It's like Blade Runner.
It's like Blade Runner. It's like being in the future, but also being in the past. Things are retro. They're futuristic. People just, if they're into like a certain kind of subculture, they embrace it entirely. You'll see grown women walking down the street in their school uniforms because that's like subculture.
Strange,
You'll see people in cosplay, people just immaculate. And the funny thing is, the first time I went there and ordered a large Big Mac meal, as we all do when you first get to Tokyo, and it was the smallest large Big Mac meal I'd ever had in my life. It was like I ate it in 2 bites. But yeah, the food, the way they... Like all the shows happen at 7 p.m. at night, so you normally go for dinner with the promoter or something after the show, which
They're
is
very
really
civil
unusual.
the way they respond.
Yeah, very polite. They'll cheer rapturously and then deadly silence. And the first time you're there, you think you've maybe done something wrong, but it's just how they show appreciation. And also, I'm not sure the name of it, but there's a specific thing that Japanese people do, which is they focus on one art form. So if someone makes noodles, they'll spend their whole life making noodles.
Or belt buckles, something weird.
And I love that. I love that. I found that so inspiring.
That's what I love about it too.
Yeah, it's like
incredible.
It's just a different way of being, a different way of living. And then in number 1, I'm not going to do a Scottish city actually. Scotland. I miss you loads, but I'm going to choose Venice in Italy. I went there for the first time last year with my wife. and it is like something out of the olden days. You know, it's an extremely populated city in the summer. See if you can go in
Touristy.
February or March or October or something. I recommend it, even though it gets really cold. You feel that you're in like a romantic movie. I felt like the best husband ever when I was there. Everywhere we walked, we were over a nice little bridge, and then we're going for an aperitif. You know, everyone's just so kind of nonchalant. People just stand and drink outside.
She's like, let's renew our vows.
Yeah,
again.
exactly. Exactly. In fact, why didn't she say that? But we just had such a lovely time, really immersive. It's like Tokyo in that there's nowhere else on earth you could be. You know, it's like if you're in Venice, you know you're in Venice, and it's just so rickety and small and beautiful, and you have to wait for people. You know, you have to be polite to complete and utter strangers, because sometimes there's wee little bottlenecks where people filter through. So you just have an unusual interaction with people. You don't get to ignore people. You're in about them, and then obviously going in the gondola. You know, it's like that was on my bucket list to do. So I just loved it.
I got to make it. I got to make it over there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because you must have played in Italy a bunch of times.
I never played in Italy. No, when I played with Courtney, we only toured in the U.S. So I never got to tour over there. But one day for sure.
Yeah, it's got your name on it.
I hope so. And last but not least, Simon, top 5 bands that should have made it in the U.S. and didn't.
Well, I'm going to start with my band, who are currently still on the journey, ladies and gentlemen.
Biffy Clyro.
Biffy Clyro.
Is that number 5 or number 1?
I'll put that number 5.
Okay, because we can go number 1.
No,
it's your band.
I'll use a little bit of my ego. Okay. A wee bit of narcissism is all right. Too much is unattractive. Let me think. British band. There's there's an incredible band from Wales that were called People in Planes, who were signed to Wind Up Records. When they were, I think they still had Creed at that point. So this band, they were friends of ours, but we did South by Southwest together. But they were getting so much money spent in them. Joaquin Phoenix did their video. Their songs were amazing. The singer was amazing, and it just didn't happen.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, they did a bunch of touring, but I have a feeling they sometimes supported the wrong band. I wonder if maybe the label wasn't quite the right fit, because they weren't quite maybe rock enough.
Interesting.
So maybe they just didn't get in front of the right people, but they were a stunning band.
Check them out.
There's a band called Ocean Size from Manchester.
Sure, I've heard of them.
Who actually 2 members of that band now play with us live, and so I'm maybe a bit biased here. There's maybe a bit nepotism going on.
It's all right. It's your world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And they were a 5-piece progressive rock band, but inspired by bands like Pavement and Faith No More. So there were 6-7 minute songs with like 32 different sections, 3 guitarists, bass, drums, a bit of electronics, and some of their music is the most complex but beautiful music I've ever heard in my life, and I do thoroughly recommend checking them out.
Number 2
will be another band that we were close to called Aerogram, who were in a small Scottish label called Chemical Underground, and maybe released their records on Matador over here. They toured a bunch over here with bands like the Icarus Line and all that. So this was probably 15 years ago. And they just made this beautifully, the most fragile music mixed with the most abrasive music. And it was kind of like Pixies to the extreme, you know. And Craig, the singer, he was raised in a really religious family, so he sung a lot about his faith and things, and he really battled with that as he got older, but his voice was so beautiful. So Aerogram would be my number 2. Now let me think, who am I going with number 1?
I got to do my research after this list.
I know.
Bands,
that's okay.
Sounds great.
That's okay.
And the number 1 band that should have been bigger in the
US.
US.
Can I put Biffy in twice? Can I put ourselves in twice?
You could. Again, it's your list.
I know. I'm struggling to find a 5th band at the moment. Forgive me.
My brain goes to some of the, like the Libertines and bands like that. I mean, I don't want to make your list.
No, I'll say. I won't say the Libertines, actually. God bless you, boys, but you're not necessarily my favourites.
Just bands that were great but didn't get their due.
I mean, there was a great band called 100 Reasons from the UK, and there was this kind of hand in hand with the emo scene over here, the noughties, when like Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco started to kind of bubble up. There was a really great scene like that in the UK with 100 Reasons, Hell is for Heroes, a band called Reuben. And actually, I could have named any of those bands, because those bands really were very special. You know, they had magic. a couple of those bands have reunited last year and did some 10th anniversary shows and that, and it was great to see the people come out to show them what those songs meant to them. But I don't think either of those bands even had the opportunity to tour over here, so they weren't even on the pitch. You know, I feel blessed that I know our band is very, incredibly unknown over here compared to elsewhere, but I feel very lucky that we've toured and played in most states. We've made friends everywhere.
Definitely.
And
this is the year for Biffy Clyro.
Well, I appreciate you saying that,
and
Scott.
this record, what I've heard so far is amazing. So
thank you so much.
It's definitely your year.
I really appreciate it.
And I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. You'll hear a couple of tunes, and it's going to be low key tonight. I'll get you warmed up, a little bit of foreplay before the real noise comes.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Scott. You're a gentleman.
You too. Thank you so much.